This is PraDa Law Live, and I'm Jackie Mendez. I'm your host for today's show. There's a number on the screen. It's 888-88-LEGAL. That's the number you want to call during the show because the show is live. And just give us a call because the consultation is free. And here at PraDa Law, we have very experienced lawyers. Ladies and gentlemen, before I introduce our panel, once again, that number 888-88-LEGAL. First up, we have a very special guest today, Carolyn Reyes, who is a Florida certified mediator, ladies and gentlemen, and she is the co-founder of Happy Ending Mediation.
Thank you, Jackie, and thanks to everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely Jennifer Pratt.
Yeah, thank you, Jackie. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone.
And the stunning Alexis Garcia.
Thank you, Jackie. I liked stunning, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Once again, that number on the screen, 888-88-LEGAL. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching us on Facebook, on YouTube, go ahead, click like, subscribe, and go ahead and share that video because you never know who you may be helping. We have a lot of information today. Today we're going to be talking about family law and, mediation. So I'm going to kick it off to Alexis.
Great. Thank you, Jackie. Today, Tuesday, so we get into family law. Sometimes we'll sprinkle it with a little bankruptcy. Today, it's a very interesting topic because we haven't really focused on mediation and how a mediation can be beneficial in a case. Typically here as attorneys, we're your advocates as an attorney. So we have to advocate for you to bring the best outcome in whatever case you have, family, because we're discussing family today. However, sometimes it may be in our client's best interest to attend a mediation. A lot of times issues will be resolved without trial, without court, and they will be done in a mediator's office and with the assistance of a mediator. What is a mediator? What is mediation? Well, lucky for everyone here watching with us today we have a Florida mediator, certified mediator, who her job is to assist parties in this process, and I'll kick it over to Attorney Reyes so she can discuss mediation. Ms. Reyes, why don't you give us a little brief summary of what a mediation is?
So mediation is an informal process. My job as a mediator would be to try to get the parties to meet in the middle, to try to cut their losses and just move on, settle their case, and be done with it. The important thing about mediation is that it's confidential, so people are able to speak freely. They're able to make negotiations and say things that they probably wouldn't otherwise do because they know later on in court, nobody could say, well, he offered this, she offered that. Right. So the good thing is that they're able to just lay it out all on the table and try to get it resolved.
I have a question, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you say confidential, what does that mean exactly? It's spoken upon there, but how does it confidential? Can you use it against the other party later, or what? How does that work?
Well, there's two types of confidentiality. One with the mediator and the parties, because the parties are in separate rooms, so the mediator usually will go back and forth. So there's a confidentiality with the mediator in each room, and then confidentiality within the entire mediation. So offers that are being made can't later be brought up in court and say, well, he offered me this in mediation. That can't be done. So the ability to speak freely and just make offers that, you're just trying to get the case resolved and be done with it.
And you know what else you can't talk about is anything that's admitted at mediation. I've had several cases where things were admitted, like, yes, I did move that money, so what? Or yes, I did do this. And those, we find out a lot of things usually at these family mediations that you're just dying to go to your keyboard and file a motion. You're like, I knew he was dissipating. But unfortunately, you can't. It is all confidential, like Ms. Reyes is saying.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Attorney Reyes.
It's a safe place.
Right. It's a safe space.
That's right.
With a happy ending.
With a happy ending.
Yeah. Ms. Reyes.
Ladies and gentlemen, that number on the screen, 888-88-LEGAL. The show is live, so if you do have any questions, go ahead and give us a call. We'd be happy to help and answer.
I have a question for you, Ms. Reyes. Well, first of all, I love the name of your mediation office, Happy Ending. That's great. Yes. But Jackie mentioned you're a Florida certified mediator. Could you tell us a little bit about what that entails? I know that you have to do a lot to get to that point. You have to watch a lot of mediations. How does that work briefly, so people know what are the qualifications?
Well, you just have to take a certification course. You have to observe several mediations. You don't have to be a lawyer, but I think it's always beneficial to have a family attorney if you're going to be mediating family cases, to know what the law is, know if whatever they're mediating and agreeing to is something that they can actually even do. So although it's not required, I think it's always beneficial to have a family law mediator family law attorney rather, be the mediator.
I think that's a fantastic point because, you know, when you're at mediation, I've been before unexperienced mediators, and when they cannot bring the parties together, and, you know, a mediator sometimes has to come down on the parties, you know, and explain what can happen if the case is not settled. Now, which brings me to a question, Attorney Reyes. What happens? Does the mediator represent either side, or you know, what is your role or your structure in the mediation? Should you advocate for one person, or how does it work?
Right, good question, because a lot of people are always trying to prove things to me. And look at the evidence. And I'm not a judge, and I'm not there to make a ruling. I'm just there to kind of facilitate an agreement. So I just go back and forth and just trying to ease into a way to get people to reach an agreement. I mean, some people are just so set in their ways that I have to kind of bring them back. They're so emotional. Family cases are so emotional. You got to bring it back. It's a way for them to maintain control of their case, because if you go to court, you never know what's going to happen. So it's a very efficient tool to just get the case done and resolved and move on with your life.
Yeah, thank you so much, Attorney Reyes. So mediator, yeah, exactly what the term means. Someone who's in the middle facilitating the conversation. And ladies and gentlemen, give us a call, 888-88-LEGAL.
And something I wanted to ask Attorney PraDa about, because we discussed this before the show today, what one piece of advice would you give individuals in a family law case? And you said it wasn't even legal. What was that? And the mediator Reyes just touched upon it.
You have to put your emotions to the side. The number one reason that I think divorces become these huge legal battles, where I've told you once and I'll tell you again, the only folks that make out like bandits are us, the attorneys. Let's keep it real here. And in some cases, the mediator, you're there for 15 hours, but more on that in a second. More on that in a second, because that might be, those 15 hours may be worth every penny. So we can talk about that when we get back from the break. Yeah. But honestly, it's putting aside your emotions. And I know that's really difficult. You're hurt. There's children involved. Your whole life is falling apart, so to speak. But as soon as you're able, and that's why I also advise people to get counseling during the divorce process, get mental help, get therapy, talk to someone, a professional, because if you can put your emotions to the side and start thinking with this rather than this, you're going to make the best decisions possible in a very bad, sad situation.
Thank you so much, Attorney Pratt. Once again, give us a call, ladies and gentlemen. You have nothing to lose, only solutions. 888-88-LEGAL. Alexis?
Yeah, we're going to be going to a short break, but before we get into that break, just, you know, bring everybody in again. What a great show we have today about mediation and how essential it is in especially family law cases. It can help you bring a solution before even going before the judge. If you want to hear a little more about mediation, stay tuned. We'll be right back. 888-88-LEGAL. We'll see you after this break. I know you're home right now asking yourself, how? How will I pay my rent, my mortgage, my bills, my credit card debt? I'm attorney Alexis Garcia with PraDa Law. I've personally helped people with financial problems over the last 10 years. I understand what you are going through. We saw people lose it all in the 2008 financial crisis. You don't have to lose it all. The consultation is free. Call us now. I will help protect what you have built. You have nothing to lose by calling us. Call us now. These are trying times. This deadly virus is affecting our health, economy, jobs, our small business owners. Bankruptcy protection may be able to save assets and immediately stop your creditors from harassing you. Small business owners, employees of business of any size, we know you need help. Call us now. We will help you get back on your feet. Don't wait until it's too late. This is the time to call.
Sé que estás en la casa ahora mismo preguntándote, ¿cómo voy a pagar la hipoteca, la renta, los biles, las tarjetas de crédito? Soy la abogada Jennifer Pratt con PraDa Law. Yo personalmente he ayudado a las personas con problemas financieros durante los últimos 10 años. Yo entiendo por lo que estás pasando. Vimos cómo la gente lo perdió todo durante la crisis financiera del 2008. No tienes que perderlo todo. Llama ahora. La consulta es gratis. Te ayudaremos a proteger todo lo que has construido durante todos estos años. Sabemos que estos son tiempos difíciles. Este virus mortal está amenazando nuestra salud, nuestra economía, nuestros empleos y a los propietarios de nuestras pequeñas empresas. La consulta es gratis. Llame ahora. Te ayudaremos a recuperarte. No esperes hasta que sea demasiado tarde. Llame ya.
And welcome back to PraDa Law Live. Once again, I'm Jackie Mendez, and today we have a very special guest, attorney Carolyn Reyes, and she is a Florida certified mediator, ladies and gentlemen, and she is the co-founder of Happy Ending Mediation. And we've been talking to her a little bit about, mediation and what the process is and what it means for you. And ladies and gentlemen, give us a call, 888-88-LEGAL. We're here to answer your questions.
Thank you, Jackie. And before we get into the mediation discussion again, just a reminder, you may not be going through divorce, you may not have family law issues right now, but you never know who does. Take the time, share this video, subscribe, watch our channel, and you never know who we can help out. So initially, as Jackie was explaining before the first break, we discussed what is mediation and what the process is, and we briefly touched upon how mediations can last 15 hours. In the break, we did discuss a little bit with Ms. Reyes, the mediation that she was in, which lasted about 12 hours. Attorney Pratt did say how very beneficial this could be as well. So I'm going to turn it over to the mediator to explain how a long mediation may help and what it can avoid in the future in your case.
Right. Sometimes people think about going in mediation and being there 12, 13, 14 hours. But if you think about the time and money that costs compared to going to court, the preparation of going to trial, and the uncertainty really, because you're laying it out on the table to a judge who you don't know if he's going to rule in your favor. So mediation can be long, but it's so valuable because you're in control. So you're able to say, I don't agree, I do agree, and you're able to be comfortable and say, these are the reasons why. And then you go back and forth and you explain it, and it's much different than being in court.
Now I'd like to ask you a question. Let's say you're in the mediation and you're able to bring the parties together and you get an agreement there. What happens? Is something signed there? Is something done later? How do you kind of wrap up the process?
Okay, so if there can be a partial mediation, so a partial agreement rather, so maybe they'll agree to the time sharing with the child's issues and not the equitable distribution, that's left to the court. So we can either do a partial agreement or a full agreement. I usually prepare all my agreements, have the attorneys review it with their client, and they sign everything there, and then it's a done deal. After that, then they just have to finalize the case.
Thank you so much, Attorney Reyes. 888-88-LEGAL. Give us a call.
And you see how Attorney Reyes pointed out at the end, as the mediator, she prepares the agreement, but what does she do? She gives it to each party's attorney for the attorney to review, for the parties to sign. And that's of the utmost importance here. And that's where Attorney Pratt would come in, because she would be there reviewing that agreement with a fine-tooth comb to make sure it is in the best interest of what they've brought forward. And because you never know how important it is when you take it to a judge, the time you have to prepare for trial versus being able to express yourself and being able to lay out your feelings and hopefully coming to an agreement. Attorney Pratt, maybe you can give them a little bit of background of the work it takes to prepare for a trial and the cost that may go into trial work to try to, nudge mediation onto certain clients and individuals.
On average, going to trial is going to cost you anywhere between 2 to 3 times easily, more so than whatever you're going to spend at mediation. And that's even assuming you have to pay for the other party's costs and fees at that mediation. When you go to court and you go to trial, we have to prepare you. There's likely going to be depositions taken prior to the trial. There's going to be subpoena of records. Everything that we're doing costs legal time, money, and also cost. The day of the trial, we're going to need a court reporter who's there at a minimum $175 an hour. I mean, that alone. You're going to need a translator if the parties don't speak English. I mean, there's just so many costs and legal fees that before you know it, and most trials may be able to be done in a day, but I've had some trials scheduled for 2-3 days because there's so many issues. If you've got a lot of assets, children, etc., that could be very problematic and it could be very expensive. Not to say that every case is going to settle. That's not realistic. You could try in good faith every case. Some people just, and I'm sure you've seen this, Attorney Reyes, they just want their day in court. They just want to lay it out. They want to say what they got to say to the judge. They're hurt, whatever it is. And that's your God-forsaken right if you want to do that. But preparing for trial is expensive, is time consuming, and is emotionally exhausting. And at the end of the day, you might walk out of there not happy. The judge may not see things your way. And so mediation is a way to, I think, have some control over your case.
Thank you so much, Attorney Pratt. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that number on the screen, 888-88-LEGAL. The show is live. If you do have any questions, give us a call. We'd be happy to answer.
Going back to what you just said, Attorney Pratt, about they want their day in court. I actually had a case where I was mediating. They didn't settle. They went to court. And then they realized that that was probably not the best idea. It was some temporary issue. They left there, called me right back. We went to a second mediation and we settled it. So their day in court was not what they envisioned, and they realized mediation is just the best way, at least in that case.
Every case is different, but I've had a lot of clients say, I want my day in court. And when they get there, it's like you say, Attorney Reyes, they'll say, wow, that judge or that GM, like that was scary, that was intimidating. And even now with everything via Zoom, I think for the next break, we should talk a little bit about how you're doing mediation in this Zoom world. And I also really want to touch base on the whole mediation agreement, because I want to share with everyone a lesson that I learned early on as a young attorney about leaving mediation without a signed agreement.
Well, we do have to take a short break. Production's telling me we'll be back with some more information. Alexis, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, sure. When we get back, just like Attorney Pratt says, we have a baby Attorney Pratt story, which that should be a really good time. And we'll get into more about how mediation is going on in this virtual world with more and more things occurring virtually, how your mediator can help you even in these situations. But you need to stay tuned. 888-88-LEGAL. That's the number you can call. I know you're home right now asking yourself, how? How will I pay my rent, my mortgage, my bills, my credit card debt? I'm attorney Alexis Garcia with PraDa Law. I've personally helped people with financial problems over the last 10 years. I understand what you are going through. We saw people lose it all in the 2008 financial crisis. You don't have to lose it all. The consultation is free. Call us now. I will help protect what you have built. You have nothing to lose by calling us. Call us now. These are trying times. This deadly virus is affecting our health, economy, jobs, our small business owners. Bankruptcy protection may be able to save assets and immediately stop your creditors from harassing you. Small business owners, employees of business of any size. We know you need help. Call us now. We will help you get back on your feet. Don't wait until it's too late. This is the time to call.
Sé que estás en la casa ahora mismo preguntándote cómo voy a pagar la hipoteca, la renta, los biles, las tarjetas de crédito. Soy la abogada Jennifer Pratt con PraDa Law. Yo personalmente he ayudado a las personas con problemas financieros durante los últimos 10 años. Yo entiendo por lo que estás pasando. Vimos cómo la gente lo perdió todo durante la crisis financiera de 2008. No tienes que perderlo todo. Llama ahora. La consulta es gratis. Te ayudaremos a proteger todo lo que has construido durante todos estos años. Sabemos que estos son tiempos difíciles. Este virus mortal está amenazando nuestra salud, nuestra economía, nuestros empleos y a los propietarios de nuestras pequeñas empresas. La consulta es gratis. Llame ahora. Te ayudaremos a recuperarte. No esperes hasta que sea demasiado tarde. Llame ya.
Welcome back to PraDa Law Live. Once again, I'm Jackie Mendez. Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to be back. The conversation has been great. We have a great, excellent panel today. We have our guest, Attorney Carolyn Reyes. Ladies and gentlemen, that number on the screen, 888-88-LEGAL. Give us a call if you have any questions during the show, because the show is live. We also have offices in Miami, in Doral. Give us a call. The consultation is free.
So before the break, Attorney Pratt left us off with a story she was going to tell us about how important it is to have your agreement signed before you leave mediation to wrap things up. So why don't you let us know what happened?
That's right. You know, many moons ago, one of the things I learned early on was that I thought we had an agreement. We were running out of time. Everyone was rushed. Everyone wants to go home. Don't mediate on a Friday because your mediation is just... So it was probably a Friday and everybody just wanted to go. And I thought we had an agreement, but no one signed anything. And what happened was literally the next day, the other side slept on it, realized that maybe this wasn't the best deal for them, and they reneged and said, we're not going to sign anything. You know, we haven't agreed to anything. Right. So one trick of the trade that Attorney Silver actually taught me, and I think you may know Attorney Silver from the Inns of Court, what a trick he taught me was that one of the things you could do, and whether or not it's enforceable or not, but an idea that we do whenever we can't have a full agreement for whatever reason is try to prepare some sort of memo of understanding or something where at least you could put basic bullet points of something that you really, really, really want the other side to stick to, have it signed, if possible notarized, everyone signs it, and then you have somewhat of something to hold teeth with that you can maybe present to a court, because the confidentiality is what really gets in the way of us being able to later on try to present this to the court and say, well, they agreed at mediation. Going back to what Attorney Reyes said, you really can't do that if you don't have a formal written agreement.
Right. See, it's great to have an attorney who understands, who's been through the process, who has done this for years, and who knows what to come out of mediation with to ensure your rights are protected. We've also discussed a little bit this evening about how mediation is so essential and it's so important in many cases, but also is mediation mandatory in some of these cases? So Attorney Reyes, why don't you discuss that a little bit?
With regard to family law, it is. Before you go to trial, the court will require you to go to mediation at least once and make a good faith effort to try to resolve the case. So it is mandatory in family law cases. I mean, and mediation is not just in family cases. I know civil cases, PI cases, they also use it. Right. So it's a very essential tool. Now, I don't know if it's mandatory. That would be for you guys to say. Right. But in family law, for sure, the judge will say, did you go to mediation? And then they'll set it for trial.
Do you mediate other areas of law besides, for example, civil or personal injury, or just family?
No, just family. I'm certified in just family.
And it's mandatory in Miami-Dade County.
It is.
Okay.
And you know, in bankruptcy court, just to throw in a little bit of bankruptcy,
I love it.
whenever there's a trial order presented, because if we are going to trial on an issue, they don't mandate it, but they tell you by when it has to be completed. So they'll tell you, if you're going to mediate, you have to mediate by this day. And I always recommend mediation even when you do go to bankruptcy.
Okay, well, 888-88-LEGAL, that's the number to call for any questions you may have, because we have some solutions. Today is mediation day. It's family day. We've been talking about a bunch of things, so let's get back into it.
Yeah, and I think it's a great topic today, mediation, because I think people need to know how important mediation is. And yes, again, I cannot stress enough, it's important that your attorney fights for you. Here at PraDa Law, we fight for you. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the best fight for you is going to be in mediation, because a good attorney not only will win, but a good attorney will recognize the faults in a case and the weaknesses in a case, and will be ready to let their clients know these things and to be ready to put forth, the best that they can. So Attorney Reyes, do you have anything else to say maybe about, let's say, costs for mediation? How expensive is it, and how do you charge in mediation?
Well, we usually charge by the hour. My office does a sliding scale, so it just depends on the clients. We'll handle low-income cases at a more reasonable rate. It is hourly. Usually it's 50-50 divided by the parties, or 60-40 depending on their income, but we're always we're always willing to work with the parties just to get it resolved.
And that's fantastic, because I've seen some mediators who won't budge on their price. This is our hourly rate and that's all we're going to do. And I think you need to take into account individuals' income and see where it is you need to be. Attorney Pratt, do you have anything else to throw in?
Absolutely. I think that, and I'm really excited to work with Attorney Reyes on some of our forthcoming mediations here at PraDa Law, because really what the most fruitful thing that can come out of mediation is an agreement, right? That is our objective. And what I have found with some mediators is that they're just uninterested. Right. They're just there to, say their 30-minute opening speech, like nobody cares. We don't care what you have to say. Let's get right to the issues. Let's get it. You're on the clock. Hello. And they're just not effective. And like Attorney Reyes said, the fact that she also, is an attorney, she knows family law, she's seen how judges rule on things, that is so helpful to really, really knock some sense sometimes into not just the other side, but even my own clients sometimes. Right. Yeah. And sometimes us as attorneys, as you're our client, you've already been hearing us saying the same thing, all of a sudden a third party comes in and it's like, oh, they must be right. So really, really important to choose an effective mediator, an experienced mediator, and someone who's going to really be there with their scorecard. They want to win, and for them a win is a settled case.
That's true. For me, at least personally, I take it personal if I don't settle a case. They're like, you know what, forget it, we're done. I go, wait, hold on, one more second. I think I can do this. One more thing, let me try. And you got to be creative. You have to, because if not, people just get stuck in their ways. And sometimes I pull apart the two attorneys and we meet, and I'm like, listen, this is what's going on, and then they can go back and relay to the clients.
Before the show is over, you're Zooming, but you're also doing in person as well, whatever the people are most comfortable with?
Right. So for right now, we're just doing Zoom. But I've had parties that just come into the office, and then everybody's separate anyway, so it really doesn't matter.
And Attorney Reyes, how can we get in touch with you? Is there a plug you can give us, your email?
Yeah, of course. Our website is happyendingsfl.com, and our Instagram handle is happy.endingsfl. Sorry, we just had to change it, that's why.
Happy.endings?
Yes, FL.
FL.
But the website is happyendingsfl.com.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, Carolyn. It was definitely a pleasure. And of course, to our partners here at PraDa Law, Jennifer Pratt, Alexis Garcia. Ladies and gentlemen, We're going to see you next time. That number on the screen, 888-88-LEGAL. Alexis.
Hopefully I can be stunning next time.
Right? I love that. Thank you.
You're all stunning.
just
I mean,
brother.
hello. We're all
But it was a great show. We had a great time. I'm so happy Ms. Reyes was here again. We'll see you next week, or we'll see you tomorrow, 888-88.